I'll welcome the special guests. So we have a few special guests, including our third year alumni, third year M.Des alumni who are online. We have 3 of our speakers will be here in person, and we'll introduce them, of course, as we come along. And before that, Professor Debont is online as well, who is joining us from Loughborough, UK. I'll ask Professor Singh to introduce Cpdm, welcome the guest, and then we'll start the rest of the event. Thank you.
So welcome to this third episode of this Silver Jubilee celebration of Cpdm M.Des program. And shortly will become 25 for the whole of Cpdm also. There is some brief delay of when Cpdm started and when the Cpdm's program started. So we have started this celebration when the Cpdm's program started. We'll be finishing it when the Cpdm turns 25. Okay, so we'll have a total of 25 such celebrations, and today is the third of that, and we welcome all the guests and the current students and alumni in this program. I am actually giving proxy for the chairman, Mahesh Krishnan, and I'll give a brief introduction to the journey of Cpdm for last 25 years. This is the, how do I change this? The arrow buttons will work? Okay. So M.Des program started in 1997, and at that time few departments like mechanical engineering, the erstwhile CEDT, Center for Electronic Design and Technology, and metallurgy and management department together collaborated to start this program on M.Des in 1997. And by following years, Cpdm was established in this building, which earlier used to be called Central Workshop, and we started in this building. And after 25 years, they are able to see the full thing, right? Okay. We are planning to have this new building, or rather the building is still under construction, and eventually it will look like this. So far as our position in last that many years of endeavor is concerned, we have now in the top 3 in the QS rating, the design schools in India, and worldwide it is sort of 9th in Asia. I can say it is the first in the design practice and management category. Okay, that was in as per 2021. During the last 25 years, we have graduated almost 400 M.Des students. We started small, that's why the number did not grow very fast. We started with only capacity of 10 students per year, and for initial years even to get 10 students was quite challenging. And now we have a capacity of about 30 students. So now I believe that numbers will grow relatively faster. And Cpdm is one of the institutes which started PhD program in design for the first time in India, and one of the pioneers in the world to start the research program. But from the M.Des program, Master of Design program that we're talking about, we had graduated 400 M.Des students, and we have now about 56 patents. Presently, second batch of M.Tech Smart Manufacturing, we have 7 students there, and 60 currently enrolled PhD or MSc research students. Actually, a number of MSc research, or presently is called M.Tech by research, is very small. Most of the students in the research are now all PhD students. What did the students achieve? Right? There are a lot of recognitions as we go along. Presently, it is, you can see, more visible. The first one, you see, Red Dot Award It is by Govind Sharma and Anup Chandar, and is a very simple product that we use on a day-to-day basis, the Hawaii chappal, and a modified version of this, which will stop the this spillage of that when you walk on a slushy road, right? And Mona Sharma's Vempu has already saved the life of thousands of newborn children because from the problem of hypothermia by alerting the doctors when the temperature of the baby goes below some permissible limit. And the Devalkaria M-box, which is basically for transferring the heart for transplanting in a chamber where the heart is kept in that sense alive for a longer duration, such that doctors get a advantage to do the transplantation. And that is the picture of where he's receiving the award. And other one, how to show the pointer? Where is it? Can you use the pointer? Is there any pointer on that? The cursor, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ujjal and Yogansh, this is the device for the manhole cleaning, automated manhole cleaning, which is one of the most difficult problems faced by in our cities. It is still done mostly manually, and a lot of accidents happen. And we want to change that culture. Then there is no other way but to go for mechanization. This is a very difficult problem, and this product tries to address this by using some robotic technology to make it automatic. These are many of our students do the startup, and these are two examples which has came to some limelight. Nitin Gupta and Vinay started the company called Sickle Innovations in 2016, and by this time they have already a couple of years back they have already break even, and now it's a well established company and a lot of recognition they got. Actually the company started in 2014, I believe, and they got 2016 ISBA award, and 2018 also they got a FarmTech Startup Award, IIFA, and then their specialization in the area of devices to support the small farmers, right? Focusing a lot on the harvester designs and the sorting machines, the variety of products. And the other one, the Grass Bionics. Yeah. So Grass Bionics was started to with the product of a prosthetic device, which also both the product the students started their company from the capstone project that they do in their M.Des program. There are other awards won by the research students. The certificate on the what is that? Institute of CIA award. Our research students' profiles. Why? Okay, that is coming in the middle. We cannot control it from here. Sorry, I will just interrupt. We have. I'll just admit it here. We'll go back to the presentation. Oops. This one is better because otherwise I can't see myself. Oh. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Let it be. So this is on a slide on the what is our research students doing, right? Of course, many of them will go to the industry, but our presence in the academia as a faculty members of other institutes is also quite a lot. You can see it is already, I think, it is already listed as 14 of them, and that may not be the exhaustive list. And starting from for Santosh Jagtap in Sweden, Prasad Onkar in IIT Hyderabad and all. Okay. The vision of Cpdm is to pursue excellence in education, research and practice in the areas of design and manufacturing, so as to support the development of systemically complex, technologically intensive and socially impactful solutions that are functional, aesthetic, usable and sustainable. Right? It is this comprehensive the vision that allows us to get the one of the best talents in the country in our program, and that is another way of looking at how we have progressed in a short while of of 25 years. Okay, we are calling this short because the institute is very old, yeah, and in 25 years we have made a good footprint in this area. The Cpdm's mission is development of professionals who can design products and manufacturing systems that are functional, aesthetic, usable, and sustainable. Nurture leaders who can strengthen the practice and develop new practice in the areas of design and manufacturing. Innovate products and manufacturing systems that can significantly impact the society, and develop knowledge, including methods and tools to inform and empower the practice in education of design and manufacturing. At this point, I just make a small note that a few minutes back I was listening to a brief discussion in this room of the eminent people came here. What is the connection between research and practice, right? And this slide gives our perspective on that connection, that how the knowledge generated, knowledge and the knowledge utilization in practice are related, and both are in the part of our mission. Landmarks in this achievement. Presently, we have 11 core faculty, 7 associate faculty, and 30 plus practicing faculty supporting us. And Cpdm has the first design observatory in India, where the visitors can observe how the design is happening, both from the designing point of view and the manufacturing point of view. It is the first PhD program in India, and we first graduated. The first person to get PhD was, of course, at the time in CDT, and the first smart factory in India, and which is both a demonstration of how these smart factories can work and what is the relationship with these smart factories and the conventional factories, and how can these two technologies benefit from each other. First PLM conference was started here, and we mentioned this because these are the conferences. Another one, where is that one? The ICORD is not mentioned here. Also for the design research, started in the campus, out of which the PLM is now an international conference, and ICORD is also international conference, and it attracts very good quality of papers, and that the next one is going to be next January. I think that will come in another slide, right? So this is the first one of the 5 design innovation centers that were in India, and the 10 research labs that we have are Ideas Lab, right? Car Lab, Her Lab, Scale Lab, Utsah Lab, RIM Lab, I3D, RIL, Inspire, and Impact for Impact labs. And India's largest international design, that is the one, design research conference. It is not mentioned ICORD. This is the ICORD that I was referring to, and it has got 20 plus editorship in major international journals, and 23 batches have already passed out of Cpdm. 4 major initiatives from this department are the National Innovation Network, to connect all the design stakeholders and knowledge sources under a seamlessly integrated national platform, to connect the stakeholders, provide knowledge resources, and take design to children. So covering from very early stage to late stages in the design activity and technology business incubators. We have a medtech or geriatric healthcare support, translation technology, and it has also support. Actually, it supports a lot the startups in the early stages to come to the mature level, which support for 2 years and extendable by a year. And Reimagine Health. This is how we started to capture some of the talents, and they have also produced products. Facilities it has got in medical, electronic, and bio and user testing facilities, especially for it is focused in terms of when you select the startups is in the area of the medtech and geriatric domain. This CFC Smart Factory, and that is what conducts another international conference on Industry 4. And Design Innovation Center address the bottlenecks in the design education by training the trainers, online and on-site training modules, and design incubation for the startups. And as I briefly mentioned, there are the 2 established conference series that is conducted through, I should say, ICORD now has, we have it once in institute, once outside institute. Although we are the primary host, but it is organized in alternate seasons, once in Cpdm, once anywhere else. I4AM is still within our department only. Okay, so with that brief introduction to the activities and the position of Cpdm, I'll hand over it for the next part to Vishal.
All right, so I'll keep it short. So I just wanted to present some news to the present. So last month rather, so we had some of our students participate in this UNICEF WASH design competition. And there were 54 entries across India, 13 got shortlisted, and there were 5 winners eventually. Proud to say that we have 3 of those winning teams from Cpdm. So here are the photographs. The first runner-up, I won't go into details of it. I think we'll have a news article going out on that from Cpdm. But as you can see, the first runners-up, second runners-up, and special mention. And here are the teams. They're also, most of them are sitting here in the room right now. So essentially what we're saying is that it's great to see that students are now actively participating outside Cpdm into events and also winning awards. So with that, I'll again move into the agenda today. So we just had the first part, which is the brief about Cpdm. The rest of the program, which has already been circulated. So we'll have a brief talk by the 4 panelists that we have today. And following that, we'll have a 30-minute panel discussion. Then we'll have a 10 minutes Q&A. Following that, we'll have a discussion amongst our introduction and meeting with our M.Des alumni who are also online already on Teams. And then we'll have a thanking note to close the event, and then we'll follow up with IT for people who are here. So today's panel, we have some very eminent speakers. So we have Professor Kees de Bont. We have Professor Mamta Rao, Mr. Narendra Ghate, and Mr. Apur Shankar. I think their profiles have already been shared. So I would read bios of each of them as and when they speak. So we'll start with Professor Kees de Bont. He's on Teams. So I'll very quickly give, he doesn't need an introduction, but it's always good to inform the audience of who we have here. So let me just take another minute or so to introduce him, and then we'll invite him to give his talk. So Professor de Bont is currently the Dean of School of Design, Labra University. Before that, he was the Dean in Delft and in Hong Kong, and he worked at Philips Royal Electronics. His research covers design education, consumer behavior, innovation adoption, design methods, and networked innovation. He has published in many international journals, including Design Studies, Design Issues, the Journal of Product Innovation Management, the International Journal of Culture and Creative Industries, Shiji, the Journal of Design, Economics and Innovation, and the Journal of Design, Business and Society. Of course, very prolific in this area. So I'll invite Professor Dibon to now give his talk. Thank you. All yours.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on the 25th anniversary.
Thank you.
I will go through my presentation and hope you well. I think it's amazing what you have achieved in only 25 years, still being a young institution and already so many achievements. I think that's amazing. So I hope I can share the presentation. And then go.
Yeah, it's up here. Thank you.
Okay, it's coming up. So I like to share. Let's see. From PowerPoint, I have to go here. 1 minute, please. Can you see it well?
Not right now. We had it earlier, so if you could try it again.
Let me see. I'm starting up PowerPoint and now Office is checking a few things. Since we don't want to, of course.
I'm also checking if there's anything at my end. I think you should be able to share it. I don't see any restrictions from our end.
Okay, so I think it's trying to start the presentation. Hopefully it's coming up now. Can you see things coming up? Can you see it?
No, not yet.
Okay. I put on my screen. So let me see. I go back to
So I'll hope, yes, I think he's joining again.
screen. And now.
Yeah, all good. We can see your screen.
Okay, very good. Yes, so we'll be there. Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
And now beginning. Can you see it?
Yes, thanks. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, very good. I'm delighted.
Yeah.
So my journey started actually already more than 25 years ago when I studied first economic psychology and consumer behavior, and I then did my PhD in design in Delft. And like you mentioned in the introduction, I worked in 4 different institutions, being Philips, the Delft University of Technology, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, and Loughborough University. And my license to operate was my PhD thesis, which was about testing products and product concept in the early phases of design. and actually already then co-creating with end users in the early phases, which was very new at that point in time. Also dealing with the complexity of full information, already asking consumers to respond, to give evaluation on the basis of incomplete information. That was my license actually to enter the academia as well as work for the company called Philips. And I want to show you one project that I was a team member of. I was not a leader, but a member of the team. Worked on a coffee maker that was at that time the first portioned coffee machine. So at that time, in Western Europe, people would make a pot of drip filter coffee, not just one cup, but like a whole pot of coffee. And this was like the first system to have portioned coffee. And that was quite revolutionary at the time. And also people could choose various tastes. They could have decaf, normal coffee, they could have bean and melange, they could have a wide variety of coffees. And this was kind of also a response to the request to higher quality, but also for people, if they were to drink coffee together, they might have different choices and options that they want. And this was then given to people. This was a collaboration together with Sarah Lee, who was the coffee maker. And the reason I'm so proud of this project was that after 1 year of introduction, 50% of all households in the Netherlands, Belgium and France owned and used this system. And 2 years after introduction, 75% of all households in the Netherlands, Belgium and France used this system. And that was never seen ever before, that an innovation entered the homes of people at such a fast pace, and also was never seen thereafter. So this is still a very unique kind of project that I'm very proud to have been a member of. The next thing that I want to show you is more academic. As a dean in the Netherlands, I started a program called CRISP, which is Creative Industries Scientific Program. And this was actually the first step to bring together different universities, art schools, design consultancies, and many larger and bigger companies all together working on this topic. So we had altogether 62 organizations working on 8 projects to kind of see how you can create not just products, but combinations of products and services, product-service combinations. And that's a completely different design process, and we were all learning together, which led to many people obtaining their PhDs, but also to many patents, but also to a much tighter network and ecology in the Netherlands between knowledge institutions and companies, which then was also a basis for a lot of other initiatives that came thereafter. So I was here the person to initiate this whole scientific program, which ran for more or less 4 years. So that's one thing I'm super proud of. When I look at the, let's say, my academic development, I'm also proud of one other thing, that a paper that I just published last year, which was about furthering Victor Papanek's legacy, which is actually an insight as to what Papanek has done and what he achieved in the 1960s and 70s, having the first ideas about dealing with sustainability issues, dealing with issues of poverty, understanding real needs of people, and then how this then has influenced design education and design research later. And I think we still operate in the spirit of Papanek. So I was really happy to bring him back to the attention and actually build further upon his legacy. So those are 3 things that I want to actually share from my Philips days, from TU Delft, as well as what I just recently published around Victor Papanek. So I would leave it here and give a chance to other people to also share their stories. Thank you very much.
Vishal, please unmute your system.
Yes. When you speak through the microphone, I can hear you.
Vishal, could you unmute the speaker's system, please? We're not able to hear her.
You're not able to hear me?
Right now, yes. Before this, no.
Okay. So I'm talking about the common principles that were applied to Digital Humpy project. The first one being, before we began the project, there was something that inspired us. There was something that was aspiring us to a particular direction. When we began to look at the project, we always wanted to look at the macro level first. When we had to choose a field, we went to a field that had the most information that was very, very diverse. And once we did that, I think it was all about classification into categories and then come up with reconstructions. I think for us, for the project, when we began, the Roman Reborn project and the work on Egyptian civilization was the source of aspiration. We wanted to be somewhere on those lines, and it inspired us to get certain directions on how this reconstruction should go about. I think early on we began realizing we have to focus on textual narratives, we have to collect a lot of visual data. Then when we started the reconstructions of the Bazaar Street, although we had to look at Bazaar Street, I think we went macro level. We looked at the city level first and not essentially the topic that was there at hand. So going macro and then jumping to the next level, right? So we did the macro city level exploration and then we chose the site which was to be taken up, and the first site that we chose was Virupaksha Bazaar Street. And again I said the rule was this bazaar had a lot of density in terms of the structures, it had a lot of diverse structures, and we thought if we do that first, we will be able to learn a lot from that sample, right? So thereafter, once we had looked at that site and collected a lot of data from the site, it was all about categorizing, classifying all those structures. And we had these 5 main classifications: Mantapa, Colonnade, Pavilion, Gateway, and Shrine. And within each of those typologies, if you look at it, the one below, within those typologies, we again had subcategories. So if it was a Mantapa, we came down to how many columns did it have and classified based on the number of columns. Once we had that data, if there was a Mantapa which did not have certain features, architectural features, we went down to other examples of that column. If it was a 4 column, and if there was anybody else as an instance available as 4 column, we were able to pick up that instance and be able to reconstruct it. I think the same philosophy again was adopted for clothing styles. We had to come up with Vijayanagara clothing styles, but we did not start with the murals, relief work. We first understood the vocabulary of clothing styles, which is again the same rule, macro first. We understood what it was called in Indian or regional languages. Then the first one was to go to murals because it had, a lot more density in terms of the information. It had color information, it had information on the clothing style, again the same rule, right? And so we had 2 murals that we studied. One was Lepakshi, the other was Virupaksha temple mural. And from that, this is how we began categorizing, whether it was a male character, female character, the kind of color palettes and textures that they had. And we began categorizing them into what is it? So we had these little questions. So what are the elements of male clothing? And then we began to, with classification, we began to answer that question. I think this is what happened. So this clothing palette and the clothing style that you see is for the lower garment during Vijayanagara period. We also went back to relief work. Earlier it was murals or paintings, then relief work, and then slowly we began to reconstruct it. We also tried a small experiment in looking at relief work and reconstructing the dance, formats. That was done by an expert in the domain of dance, Dr. Karuna. Then moving on to social life and scenarios, again macro first, a lot of scenarios collected, and we thought Virupaksha Bazaar and Royal Enclosure had the maximum number of scenarios, both in terms of textual narratives, murals, relief work, so we attacked that first, right? And as we attacked, we began depicting, so now we were slightly more learned in terms of clothing. So we took the relief, we took the textual narrative, we got different data, put that together and began creating these different characters. So the first one is the soldier bit, then you have the Brahmins, then you have the common man, you have the nobility, and then we were able to put that whole together like a social life scenario of that period. The last one, which is the reconstruction of audience hall, again the macro first, collect all the palace structures or that style of architecture of that period, learn as much as possible of that period, and then we reconstructed the audience hall first because the textual narratives available on the structures of audience hall was to a great extent. A lot of versions, so we take the structures that have been described textually, take that, we construct version 1, version 2, and evaluate them, and finally we thought, so these are conjectural visualization. I can't really say this will be the way it was 500 years ago, but based on both textual data and contemporary architecture, we were able to put this together. So if you look at the plinth below, that's what exists, and the whole superstructure is what we have reconstructed. This is what exists, this is what we believe might have been there. This is what exists, and this is what we believe the social life during festive season might have been there based on textual narratives. So that's what it is, those 5 principles that I spoke about. I think consistently across all the phases we use them, and that's how we put the work together. This is where our work can be seen. Some bit of Flash, because Flash has been discontinued, some of those portions do not work, but a large, information related to the project and documents are all archived here. Our publications by Springer were. So thank you so much. I hope I was in time. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Is it?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Please have a seat. All right, so again, very interesting talk. So this is where the joy of these kind of events is, then we get very different talks on design, right? And that's the objective here. We want to bring diversity of views and interests there. So our next speaker is Mr. Narendra Ghate. Again, needs no introduction in India in design, but I'll once again go. So Mr. Narendra Ghate is one of the founding members of the design agency business in Tata Elxsi. As part of the leadership team, he has helped Tata Elxsi grow into one of the largest design agencies in Asia. Through this journey, he established new design practices, developed design delivery teams, worked with technology partners, sales and marketing in order to win global customers and craft appropriate design solutions. His projects have won national and international awards. He regularly lectures on design in colleges and institutions, and he has spoken in seminars in Europe and China. He has been on juries for various awards and competitions, and we look forward to some of the things that he has to talk about.
Hopefully the sound. Have you connected?
Yeah. Oh, sound, yes. Wait a minute. Sound should play automatically.
Achha, there is no. We'll have to connect the audio.
It doesn't. I'll have to look for the setting. If, okay, give us 2 minutes. I'll have to look at the sound settings here.
Yeah, but actually sound is.
It's critical. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember this. So just give me 1 moment on the.
Or the videos could be run from somewhere.
We can do that. Okay, let's try and. I should have checked it earlier.
No, that's okay. If he has the thing, he can run the videos.
Okay.
I mean, you could run the slides from there also.
The thing is actually here. Okay. Okay, what we'll do is, in the meanwhile, I'll try to resolve it. So I'll ask Proof to present, or just give me 5 minutes. I think that's better to resolve. Just so we have to just check whether the sound is playing from the video or not. So I'll try that. If it plays naturally, then no problem.
Yeah, just it's not that critical, but it's important.
I mean, it's important. I think it's good to have the full.
Talk over.
So I'm just running the trial presentations just to check.
Fastest growing cities in the nation, cultivating sophisticated, artistic, friendly and sensitive to environment and heritage. The city is truly a paradise. Kochi Metro Rail Limited is committed to providing a safe.
So we've seen plenty of augmented reality apps for kids before.
Can we switch off the other mics and just let this one be on? So I'm switching on this one. Let's see.
So we've seen plenty of augmented reality apps for kids before. Until we built the first augmented reality.
Somebody's calling. Suggestions come from far.
Need an audio cable, otherwise.
Right. All right, are we back to normal? So at least this one is on, right? Okay. I'm just hoping. Oh dear. It'll be absolute miss. Okay, we'll go with this for now, and I promise to share this video with everyone so that you can watch it later. Yeah, sorry.
Hey. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. I think this is such a historic place, so it's just an honor just to be here. And I think you should consider yourself privileged to be here. So, but with that, I mean, the mail that I got from Vishal was essentially to talk about significant work and any sort of contribution. So I've just put something together. I'll take about 10, 12 minutes max. So a brief introduction about myself. So I've done my machine tool, like specialization in mechanical engineering. But I'm a designer at heart. I'm in my IDC years from 95, 97. So those were the sort of defining aspect of who I am. I've also done this thing called MBA from IIM Bangalore, but it's just more to help me with my work, but it's still the design that I enjoy. That's what I do. So this is a bit of a busy slide. Normally I don't have such busy slides, but since we're talking about contribution, I thought since it's 25 years almost since I joined IISc, I was a campus recruit. So from campus, I was from IIT Bombay, I was picked up by IISc and I'm still here. So it's amongst a few people who stay. But basically we are fairly large now in terms of the design business, or as a design agency. More than 250 creative designers sitting in one roof or sitting in one organization, which means, imagine 250 creative designers. So automatically it means 100 plus projects going on simultaneously and a huge variety of work in 9 different design domains. And, all of it, 70% of our work is for international audience. So which means, work is one of that kind of quality expected and the kind of variety that is there. So in terms of what I feel I've done, and normally I don't sort of talk about myself like this, but since, but let me just put it out anyway. I feel I really helped build a culture of design in Tata Elxsi. So if any one of you know the company Tata Elxsi, it's been in the news nowadays. So it's a design-led technology company. So I guess, that aspect I had, or we had something to do from design in bringing the culture of design within the entire company and what we do. I think that's a fairly important job that all of us should do in other companies that we join. So we just don't be where we are, but we spread our design thinking culture to the rest of the organization. And with that came the entire aspect of design business in terms of how can it really be scalable. Well, it's unfortunate that unless there's a huge success, a market success, a monetary success, people will not take you seriously, which means design has to not just make money for itself, but make a huge impact in terms of the size of projects or the kind of revenues the rest of the business also makes. So then that's the main function of design, to open doors into much larger interventions, impacts that you can do. So I had a lot of thinking and work in that area. And I guess the core aspect of philosophy, if you tell me, is you have to have the joy of design. I mean, you have to really love it every day, have every day that feels so much fun. And that's why you can last for 25 years, otherwise you can't. So that aspect becomes important. And I guess it was recognized because I was really fortunate and honored to receive a Distinguished Alumnus Award from IIT Bombay IDC, which is, after almost 30 years, they've given out just 15, 20 of them. So I'm quite happy to have got one of them. Right. So with that, let me just show a couple of my work. Like I said, over 25 years with so many designers, we have done many, many projects. I mean, if I start putting out slides, it's more than so many of them. So I have put small 3 films of different kinds of projects that might sort of explain the kind of work that we do. What I'm not showing, though we do a lot of work in that, is autonomous vehicles, automotive, HMI, all that. So unfortunately, not enough time to show all that. So let me just show this mass transit work that we did for. Yeah, in case you want to see, you can see. Okay, please. Yeah. We'll invite you later when we have a chance. Yes. So since the sound is not going to play, I'm just going to sort of talk over it. So this is the project that we did for Kochi Metro, and it was a complete passenger experience design that we did for Kochi as a city. So it included the entire integrated transportation system, right from bus systems to boats to the metro. And essentially what this video is typically talking about are initial journey about why this kind of mass transit system is needed, the entire research that went deep into trying to understand the daily habits and the various aspects of how work is done or how people live in this city and what is the core culture, how can I really make it unique and ownable by the citizens of Kochi. We designed the entire brand architecture that you see. So the main Kochi Metro rail brand and the rest of the architecture for all the sub brands under that. These are some of the aspects of research that we uncovered. There was a pride of people. There was the entire joy of visitors coming back. There was daily commute. And we had this and now this is fairly established process of design that we do, which has a large research component that allows us to be confident of a kind of design decisions that we're taking, because if I have to decide that this is the color palette, then the research really helps define and defend that. That's what we did. And since we're talking about passenger experience, we started working and we did all aspects of passenger experience, right from the uniforms to passenger announcements to wayfinding systems to apps to the ticketing system to street furniture to station furniture so almost everything that a passenger can really experience, it had to be designed. So that was the passenger experience design, and we really got a good customer who allowed us to really get into very many different areas of the entire metro system. So there are at least some 30 different innovations that are unique that are there in this particular metro system that we created. And we're very proud of it. And now we're doing almost 10 other metro systems. We are doing 10 airports systems. The Mumbai International Airport is something that you all would have seen is our work in terms of experience and not architecture. And we won the Service Design IF Award, which was first for this country and for us. So that was our quick thing into Kochi Metro. The second one is something much more, so that was wide, that was spread out across many different domains, right from branding to signage. This is also wide, but it's deeper, it's more technology. This is the first augmented reality sort of app that we had created, and this was done almost 4 years ago. Again, this fellow talks quite well, so I kept him here, but unfortunately you may not hear him. But the entire point was that the entire storytelling aspect for kids was brought about through this combination of beautiful animations that run on an iPad and something that complements it in terms of an augmented reality. So for example, there's a Little Red Riding Hood, and that story sort of goes as an animation on your screen, and then the Little Red Riding Hood would jump from the screen and jump onto the carpet or onto the duvet, and the rest of the game sort of follow that, and then she jumps back in, and there are about 15 such interactions. They play yoga, they do games. So it was quite a hit, and we launched it in the US, at least our customer launched it in the US. This was shown in CES in 2017. So that was an augmented reality work. This was in Japanese anyway, so you all wouldn't have understood what he's saying, but let me explain. So this is, I feel as designers, this is something that is our role. And our role is to bring clarity about the future. It is our ability to really bring technology and trends and lifestyles together so that people can understand this is what future can be, so that technology and engineers can really work towards that. So this is one such example. There's a company called Sky Perfect in Japan, and it's a large satellite dish TV kind of a company. And the point was that a lot of the old people, a lot of the people in Japan were not really using television as much, or the old people were not using internet and OTT, the Netflix kind of aspects. So how do we really bring about the next revolution in that entire field? So we came up with a thing called as live services, and I'm just describing it because you'll sort of see it in this aspect in this video. And by live services, what we mean is, how can I use TV to really have a complete smart home system, have a connected ecosystem, so I can order a taxi from my TV, I can get my health checkup done on TV, I can, if I'm watching a recipe, I can buy certain items from from TV. So how TV can become the hub of your life, and trying to sort of visualize it in a way that seems probable. And then as a sub projects, each and every individual technology aspect of it was something that we developed and we showed them. So I'll just run this video. It had unfortunately, like I said, you may not be able to hear some of the aspects, but a lot of it is voice UX. So in this case, for example, these are two brothers, and basically we're redeveloping or recreating what could be a normal life, let's say 5 years from now. So he likes this helmet. Moment he asked the robot, said, I want to know what's the price and where can I buy. The choices come up, and he can use TV itself to immediately place an order. Here's another scenario. Grandparents are gone for a walk. The kid is missing them. They are wearing a Fitbit. So the Fitbit information is automatically seen on the TV, and they are able to see that the grandparents are walking, and they've half an hour from finishing their walk. So this kind of a connected devices that are now streaming into your house. Well, this is another scenario where she's trying to cook and she wants to buy the individual elements of this particular recipe. So the point I'm trying to make is, and like I said, these are only 3 use cases. We had many more, about 15 that we showed, as how a connected ecosystem of the near future can really live. And then we showed the individual technologies, how they would work. So that is something that I feel designers should do to really bring clarity to the future. So that was this project. This is my last slide. So, just my thought in terms of role of a designer or what he should be good at. And I really feel that designers should have depth, real deep understanding in empathy, By empathy, I mean, understanding people, really being, this word empathy, I can go around for it, but I will not. But point is, you should be able to really quickly transform yourself into this person so that you can imagine whether he like what you're doing or not, or you'll be able to choose the correct button size or correct interaction so that it works for him. So that depth of understanding people is an important aspect of designers, and they should also understand technology. And this is where the magic comes together. This is what people want. This is what technology can do. And I'm now going to create a product for you with that. So that aspect is important. That is unique to us. And then you can apply it across the breadth of industries. What I've shown you just now was just some transportation and some television and maybe AR, VR. But we are doing so much of work on AI. We're doing so much of work on automotive, autonomous vehicles. All this thing really comes together. How technology and design, or technology and empathy really come together. So with that, I'll sort of quickly finish my 10-12 minutes. So thank you very much.
Thank you again, and thanks for managing without the voice there. I promise that I'll share the slides or the videos with everyone if we have the permission later. All right, so while I invite the next speaker, I'll at the same time try to upload his presentation, so that will take a couple of minutes. He's our own Cpdm alumni. So we have Mr. Apurv Shankar. He's a product designer and an instrumentation engineer. Actually, he sent me a separate bio, but I'm reading the one that I got earlier. And he designs hardware products that are easy to use. So that's his motto. He's an alumnus, of course, of Cpdm, as I said. He started his company, LazyCo, with one of his batchmates, juniors, immediate juniors from Cpdm. Yogansh, yes, that's right. Sorry, I forgot that bio here. So he and Yogan started Lazy Company, designing products that incorporate the tiniest principles and nuances of product design and user experience to create the laziest ways to get things done. That's how the Lazy Company. After 4 years of building a crazy AI-powered wearable interface called Aina Ring that made the headlines in different places, handling and made it easier for handling day-to-day tasks, 7x faster than what a typical smartphone touchscreen does. Finally, they have joined hands with Ultrahuman to build the future of consumer healthcare and wellness. So with that, I'll invite Apurv to come here. Just give me a couple of minutes in the meanwhile so that I can upload your slides. I think we can play directly from there. I think so. Not this. Okay, that's fine. Still opening. Okay, let me just get this up. All yours.
Great. Well, I'm humbled to be invited here with, the kind of panel that has been invited. I'm the least experienced speaker so far, I of course, in terms of the knowledge of design that I have, but I'm humbled that, professors have agreed to let me do the talking here as well. I was, on this stage on Faculty Hall in 2016 when I was heading IISc, and had set up an interview with the Redbus founder. And IISc was the entrepreneurship cell, and still working. So I had to sort of make all the arrangements to, have an opportunity to be at this stage, and sort of orchestrated it out just to be here for some time. Thank God I'm here again. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll get started with 2017 when I started my own company called LazyCo. Learned everything that I know about design from Cpdm. Truly thankful to all the professors who have sort of helped me gain this knowledge, and I've sort of lived by that knowledge so far in my career. And talk about the first company that we built. So just to begin with, I have always been a kid who was generally frustrated by things. bad products would, I would break those products, I would kick those products. My parents would say that, okay, this is a problem child, you can't change everything. But later in my life, I realized, okay, the bad products that have been hitting on my life were because of the absence of design or a bad design in the product itself. So learned about product design. Just to give you an example, I think I'll be surprised if even 10% of us here don't hate the old door stopper design, which probably has hit your toe somewhere in your life, right? So such products, right? I would always break those from my doors. Doesn't matter. So that's how I started my product design. I started connecting the dots from my childhood. Started this company called LazyCo, which was focused on creating the most effortless ways to get things done. There are multiple, ways you start a design process and, focus on multiple things and, choose which one you want to prioritize. We always used to prioritize the most effortless ways to get things done. We would say that if it's easy to use, if it's the laziest ways to get things done, then it will stick and you'll be using it. That's why we called the company LazyCo. The first product that we built was called Aina. It was an AI-powered interface which was designed to be an interface to control the smartphones without using a touchscreen. We were featured by TechCrunch, Variable, BBC, Yanko Design, had multiple startup awards and grants, had about $40,000 in pre-orders from a Kickstarter campaign in the US. The problem statement that we started off with was touchscreens are old. 2021, okay, that's now old. So 2022 needs a better, faster and easy interface than touchscreens. For example, to do simple tasks that you do on a smartphone touchscreen, like booking a cab, controlling smart home. These are things that have been developed recently. And the touchscreens, when the phone was designed, the phone was not designed for such tasks. And we're still using the same interface to control everything. So day-to-day things, using a touchscreen was a bad experience, and that's what we wanted to change. Typically, a smartphone control from a smartphone touchscreen would take the whole effort of taking the phone out of the pocket, unlocking the phone, taking your, swiping down to the right app, finding the right shortcut to control that smart light. I would rather walk and switch on that light. It takes so much effort and time. Similarly, making payments, booking cabs, now video meetings, these are things which you do on a very regular basis, and taking the phone out to do all these things is still a horrible experience. A lot of us don't know about it yet because we haven't experienced what else can be done. Now that's what we started with. So we built Aina, an AI-powered smart ring, the first ring with a small display on top, designed to redefine the way we control our phones and our day-to-day tasks. It eventually made the day-to-day tasks like booking cabs, controlling smart home, and making payments up to 700% faster than a phone touchscreen. And that's why we won some design awards, won whatever laurels we had throughout our history of the company. This is a small video of the product. I wish we had a very great sound design team to get this done. I'll share this link anyways in the group as well. So this is what we were doing. This was a prototype of Aina earlier. Had shot almost all the videos at IISc itself and made them look like it's shot in a location outside India. We'll come to that later. A lot of students also, a lot of the exchange students from Germany were also part of this video, and that I think helped in making it look like a US company more than India, because India is not really well known on Kickstarter-like platforms. We built something called Artificially Intelligent User Interface, which would learn from the way you have been using your phone and day-to-day applications and predict shortcuts for you. So for example, if you wake up at 9 a.m. or are having breakfast at 9 a.m., it will show you a shortcut to book a cab to work. You swipe up and a cab is booked. If you're driving, you'll find a shortcut to get to the navigation to the next place that you want to go to. You could control smart home, doors, and we also used to call it the easiest way to go to sleep. You don't have to sort of go and rush towards the switch to switch off the lights. The additional feature we had was to take phone calls through a ring. This was considered super cool, but it was not exactly a lazier method to do so. You can't beat the Bluetooth earbuds that we have. So this was an additional feature, but not the reason why we built this. SOS was one major factor, major feature of the product. And then there's a fitness tracker and a beautiful looking timepiece. So the way we built INA, we started the design process to build INA, as I said, making things lazier was one big aspect of it. But going back to the basic CED knowledge, we started with wanting to replace touchscreens, but eventually got down to a problem statement wherein we identified a solution neutral problem statement and did not focus on a particular or converge towards a particular set of solutions. For example, an AR glass or a voice interface, these could be different solutions which sort of try to target the same thing. But eventually we realized out of all the concepts, this is the easiest way to get things done, and we stuck to it. The second product we built was basically a tool for COVID. This was done as a survival measure during COVID because our investors had backed out. And we sold a lot of these units going for the first time to getting into production of a product which was apparently simple, but simple in looks, right? It looks like we've got some small mechanical parts or plastic injection molding part, but to get the right quality in that time during COVID and get into the right vendors, it was a huge task. We were able to manage that in the 2.5 months of whatever struggle we were doing. And we sold a lot of these devices, got some design awards for this as well. So this is basically the journey of LazyCo and INA so far. We got acquired by Ultrahuman Healthcare earlier this year. Now we're building healthcare products, trying to use the same design philosophy and methodologies that we've been using for LazyCo, but in the healthcare sector right now. Hopefully we'll be soon back to INA once the semiconductor industry gets better, and would love to try this again. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. I think this has been a wonderful session so far. So I'll ask the panelists to please come on stage. So we'll move to the next part, which will be a set of questions to be asked across all the panelists. So let me just check the mics. Seems to be connected. It's on. It's on. It's on. Where's the other one?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. I'll again put the spotlight on Professor DeBont.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, so this round what we'll do is we have the 4 panelists who have just spoken, and we have a few questions for them. So we'll go one at a time. So maybe we'll start with you, Professor DeBont, and then we'll follow in the same order. So one of the things we wanted to sort of, and the reason we do this exercise is because we have design students, and we have had all kinds of debates about what design is. So we are trying to, and if we talk to 100 designers, they'll have 100 different views on what design is and so on. Right? So that's the idea. We want to hear from you as experts in research and in practice, your views on certain basic things that we talk about daily, but we never agree on. And we don't intend to agree, but we want to get diverse perspectives. So starting with, what does design or designing mean to you? And what to you are the salient features of the activity of designing?
So that's not an easy question, but I'm happy to respond to that. So I go back to people who talked about design indeed as an object, an artifact, but also design as an activity. I mostly talk about the activity, so how to design things and what to design for. And I think it was actually already explained quite well today as to design being the discipline that proposes attractive future realities and then takes people with them on a journey as to work towards materializing, realizing those dreams, and thereby making use of all sorts of possibilities through technologies and the like. And what I've also seen, and this is very nicely shown today, is that as designers, I think we have helped to make the world more complicated. You know, we can do so many different things at the same time. So we're getting a little bit tired of that. So now we need to kind of somehow, you know, get rid of the clutter, and I think that's the final presentation also very much about that. Again, coming back to things that are, let's say, of humankind, human nature, things that people can understand, that they appreciate. So that's where it's actually coming down to taming technology. So first it's about embracing technology for things that people like to do and what they want, but now it's more about taming technology. There's so much more possible than what people want, and it's up to us to kind of find out those functionalities, those experiences that people really appreciate and enjoy, and then try and cut the clutter, you know, to make it easy to understand and bring it to people in ways that they really can enjoy and appreciate. Now, I think we also, with the sustainability goals of United Nations, we also have a mission, you know, in terms of sustainability, in terms of fighting poverty, in terms of working towards peace. I think we also have, you know, additional challenges that we need to kind of use our views on and our capabilities for, to also make progress there. And that's the impact thing, but also you already work on as a team. There's lots of things under design, and that's why non-designers quite a surprise to see that we just make so much more than just chairs. We have to just lead and show by example how we really can improve the quality of the lives of people.
Thank you. Thank you. Narendra, your thoughts?
Hello? Hello? Yeah, one thought, as in many thoughts, but I'll talk about one. See, I feel what we do is a bit of a paradox, and I'll sort of explain what I mean. Typically, what we do and what I'm doing, and I guess all of you will do, there is a problem that needs to be solved. We have to design, we have to do something to solve a problem. In that first iteration, you'll have a particular solution, but then you'll keep working at it, keep simplifying it till the solution starts becoming almost obvious. For this particular thing, I mean, this is a natural way to do it. And then in our case, the client will ask, why do it take 6 weeks to come to something that is so simple? But that is the design journey, that is the design thinking, that is what designers do. We start really finding out what is not needed, what is needed, how can it be done simply, how can it be done simply by everybody. And that, making it simple for everybody is a huge service that we do, because it's easy to design something complicated, it's hard to design something simple. So I feel that is that's my thought on what is design.
Great, thank you. Apurv.
So what is design? I'm sure you must have learned this in a CAD class. I still stick to those principles. It's a plan to go from A to B, with of course whatever requirements you've been given. You follow that, prioritize that, end up with some concepts, methods of finding out what is a better concept, what is not a better concept. I think that's worked very well for us so far, and I think that's a great way to approach design. And I think the idea of having a SNPS, which is a solution neutral problem statement, I'm quoting AC sir all this while. So SNPS, the solution neutral problem statement, that's something which allows you to look beyond the requirements as well, look beyond the certain set of ideas that you might already have because of some biases based on your backgrounds, your research, your tech, or your whatever knowledge you had in the past. So I think the way we at IISc approach design, I think it's a beautiful way to do it. That's it.
Professor Rao?
I think I agree to.
Maybe exchange the mic.
Yeah. So I also agree to what he just mentioned. I believe design is a planned activity. As designers, you can be very spontaneous when you are working, but I think to a third party, you should seem like someone who plans, strategizes, and places things after having thought about it, right? It shouldn't appear too spontaneous outside. So yes, planned, there should be some bit of discipline to what you put together. Another important element of design to me, and especially coming from the student side, right, is to be able to deal with ambiguity. When you start any design activity, that activity is not very clear. I hear a lot of these voices which say, I start with this brief, I have done something, and I'm now confused. Why is the brief changing, right? It is going to change. You get that clarity as you go deeper in the process of design. So I would say one of the very important characteristic of design is ambiguity. And if you as student do feel very confused, I would say you're on the right path. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's a very important takeaway, of course. So there comes the second question, which is that we in design schools, and when we research and teach and have experienced design, we have a view of design, right? And there's an outside world which sees designers as designers. Now, when we have students still in schools, and there's a world outside which sees this and has an expectation of what is a designer. So how do you sort of navigate this expectation of what is a designer versus what you teach somebody to do as design? So again, we'll start with Professor DeBont, and then we'll follow the same order. So the designer, as the society sees it, and the designers that we produce, how do we balance this expectation versus the reality?
Yeah, let me, so I think if you look at the lay persons, the men in the street, men and women in the street, they would not always indeed think beyond the artifacts that they use in daily life as to, and that designers design so much more than just that, and there's a lot of things that people do not see that are also designed and make their lives easier. I think what is important for the young designers, and that's also, I think, I'm making more clear the curriculum in my school, that I think young designers are also expected to bring, when they graduate to their organizations, kind of fresh thinking, fresh understanding of the world, and a fresh understanding of technology, and a fearlessness when it comes to new technologies, being open to explore and to kind of discover and work with those. That's what is actually expected from, let's say, the new and the young generations, and will always be expected. So they will be the change agents, because those who are in their 30s or 40s or 50s will already be kind of, way behind in understanding technologies. It's kind of adopted very soon by young people, and how they think technology is actually so core and central to them. So they need to actually make maximum use of that when coming into organizations and being the change agents of bringing those and to organizations, and thereby providing new thinking and new opportunities that come to the fore.
Right, thank you. Same question.
Yeah, it's a tough question. So I have answered in sort of two parts, and just bear with me. So I guess some of you all have come to the studio in IISc. Now, a lot of people, I mean, visitors and especially the other engineering folks and people from other departments. So when I designed it or when I got it done, they say, this doesn't look like a design studio. There is no flashy lights and colors and some kind of shapes, and this. I mean, so I said, no, this is not for need to show you that I am a designer. This is so that designers can work. And for us, this ability to think, ability to deeply contemplate, collaborate. So it's a functional place made for me to be as a designer, not for me to show you off. Show off. So the point I want to make is there is always this element of, oh, what is this prototype designer? What is this stereotype of a designer? Should I have a long tail and so I should wear those clothes, and so there is this a bit of an insecurity that we have when facing the world, saying that I'm a designer, I should be recognized, and hence I need to do something about me. But that's not the point. You have to be comfortable with yourself first. You have to be proud of the fact that you can design. And then it doesn't matter. I mean, whether you wear chappals or and that confidence automatically will start reflecting in how you communicate, and then people will know this fellow is a designer. Because so the point I want to make is, if you don't try and manage your persona or your PR, then the designer will come through. You just be true to yourself. And the second point, which is slightly contradictory to your first point, is communication is a vital aspect of design. You can have great thoughts, great ideas, but if you cannot really communicate, then it falls flat. You will spend 20 hours trying to tell people and convince people what you are thinking of, what you would have spent 5 minutes thinking about, right? So your ability to communicate is vitally important, which means if you have to cleverly fake this aspect of creating this persona of designers or creating this kind of, just so that you can get the job done, then that is fine. But just remember, you're faking it. On your own, you will know what you are. So that's my point.
Great observation. Thank you. Apurv.
Sure. From a community standpoint, as already covered, designers are looked upon as people who are majorly into art or have been into art, are good sketchers. Based on that definition, I think half of our Cpdm students who come through GATE are not designers at all. Right. So that's the community way of looking at it. I think a lot of you yourselves might have figured whether I'm a designer or not, should I join here or not. Right. But that's exactly, this is the place to break all those stereotypes. And you have to sort of take that message with you and tell your parents, tell your friends that, dude, this is design. If I have a ponytail, if I'm sketching, if I have something, right? This is not how designers should be perceived. It's not just graphic design. It's not just, let's say, automotive or anything which could be considered cool in our general society. It's about solving a problem, right? In a way, then scientists are also designers, right? But you have to have that sort of a philosophy going forward and communicate it to, wherever you're going. Most of the people who are probably going to be hired as industrial designer, program designers, they'll be given a task to build probably an existing product and with a super unrealistic deadline. Okay, 3 months, make me this. Right? What happens there is all the design process are skipped. Eventually, you get to a vendor who you already know, and you say, okay, just copy this. Yeah, let's make it. And that's how I think a lot of things in India have been like. Thanks to software boom, that UX through the app side of things has now become popular. And because of the push of Make in India and so many bigger companies like Ola trying to set up their own manufacturing, set up their own products, design from scratch, I think it's a good opportunity for us to start telling that story. But this is what designers do. If you want to skip this design process, we'll end up making a product which is very similar to someone else, and there will be no differentiation. Sometimes your leaders will also not know this, so you have to communicate that. Right? In general, product design, I'd say, is still not known by a lot of people in India. So you have to take that message and strongly deliver it to wherever you're going to join.
Right, Professor Rao.
I'm going to answer it from the perspective of someone who would like to join design, right? Usually I hear these questions. It's not coming? Yeah. What should I have if I have to join a design school? So I would say, I think the ability to observe, to be able to observe the daily activity, that's the first thing. If you're interested in making observations, I think, you are the right person to join a design school and you will enjoy that journey. Having said that, so ability to observe comes because you are so keen to see, right? And to see, you should also be keen to travel places. Because a designer, I think when you begin to design, you really want a reservoir of a lot of things back in your brains, right? So you have to observe, reserve it or keep it to yourself, store it, so that at a particular time when you want, you can pull that out of your reservoir, right? And it's not enough if you just see, observe. I think it's also about how many times do you make certain things. So whatever you see, observe, you want to put it right, make and see what happens to that whole idea. So I would say seeing, traveling places, making those observations and making these prototypes or, early ideas very, very quickly. If you are interested in those kind of activities, I think you should be going to a design school.
Right, thank you. So what I'll do in interest of time, I'll combine the next two questions. They're related and still I think there were some differences. So what I wanted to sort of ask is, and we all go through a journey, and as we have the journey, we modify our opinions of things and our understanding of things evolves over a period of time. So same in the context of design, given that you're practitioners who have a lot of experience, researchers with a lot of experience. So what were your views of design earlier? And how has that evolved over the years? And if you could then point out to specific experiences, events, projects, people, encounters, if you can specify some specific instances which have changed your views, and what could those be? So again, we'll start with Professor Debont.
Okay, thank you. I came into design through first studying psychology, so understanding the people, and then entering a design school to do my PhD. And there I found people who were kind of creative in the way that kind of they were interested in culture, art, film, very wide interest in things, as well as people, but who could also create things, could not just think about solutions, but really make them productively, which kind of was very much an eye-opener to me, and I felt really comfortable in that environment. What I've then seen, moving from places, one place to another, being in Philips, where design initially was very much about functionality, about human factors, ergonomics, also product management, also the financial side came to the fore, but still all very functional. And I think what made a big change, not just to my life, but almost everybody's life, that is the internet, from unconnected products, which became more intelligent over time. There's a lot of intelligence that was already in products before the internet came about. But through the internet, there was an explosion of possibilities, and I think we're still at the beginning of understanding what is all possible in making all sorts of connections and between products, between people and products. So it's almost kind of like I said, an explosion of opportunities and possibilities. I think that was just the technology that came in and made such a distinct difference. What I also found interesting is traveling to places. I've visited many design schools in India, in Africa, in the UK, in Europe, and I always see the importance of the context, the political, social, and cultural context as to how to design and make things. I think that even in spite of the days of the internet, we still have our own cultures, identities, ways of communicating with people, and I'm pleased that is still the case. And I hope design can help to continue to protect, if you will, for people to be who they are, more than anything else. So that's what I want to respond to your question.
Great, thank you.
Again, a tough question, but I have a small or a short answer and a slightly longer one.
You can have a longer one.
I'll give both. So, if I distill your question simply that, when you passed out of IISc in 87, 25 years ago, as a designer, what were you or how were you? And now after 25 years, what's the difference?
And the simple answer is, if there's a brief or any problem, the young me would make 25 to 50 different concepts and feel very proud seeing how creative I am. See, here are 25 different solutions. Today I will make one and I know it's the correct one. So that's the sort of a journey. And I'll give you an incident or a story that sort of allowed me to sort of realize it. Partly it is what Professor Rao said, that through years you have a reservoir that you built up so that you quickly realize without unnecessarily spending effort what is right and what is wrong. But I'll give another aspect. And even in IISc, I was very creative and I had come from the industry, so I had some experience. So I knew there was something called as a career and experience and your salary increases, all of that. So I would ask this question to my professors that, I am so creative, I can come up with 25 different answers or some ideas. How am I not as good as somebody with 10 years experience who might also come with 10 different ideas? If it is ideas that matter, shouldn't the senior people be feeling more vulnerable and insecure, because these young kids will be much more productive and creative? And the professor used to try and give some answers, and I was never convinced. But then I had this incident. I was in Germany. I was working in a company called Ford, and through Lexi, and I was what is called as an alias designer. So I used to make automotive surfaces, beautiful sculpted surfaces using the software called Alias. And essentially these were sketches that were given to me by these design directors, and I would sort of build them. In the night, the huge machine would cut clay, and I would assume that you know what how car process happens. And we have this 1:1 car model ready. The director will come early in the morning to inspect. He will do some changes. He will do what is called as state drawings, and he would say this surface needs to be 2 mm up. This particular surface should be 1 mm down. Now, for me as a software guy using this software, pulling those surfaces up by 2 mm, 3 mm, it's fine, it was easy. I could quickly make the surface again. The machine would cut it all over again, but next year maybe he would be able to see those differences. Sensitivity at a 2 millimeter level of 1:1 vehicles, and then to really move this 2 mm is better than not 2 mm, that only comes through experience. And as you spend more time, you become more and more sensitive, you become more and more aware about so many things. And then your design becomes correct or appropriate and much more richer and better. So that's my long answer.
Thank you. Sensitivity, that's the key word.
I'd like to actually add to what Professor Rao mentioned earlier. The problem identification is a big part of a designer's journey. So once I came out of Cpdm and was trained in my own company, I had the opportunity to be on the investors and startup and investor communications as well, and working in a company now, so I know how the founders think and all this thing as well. So my design journey has been to, of course, I never stopped observing things, never stopped looking for opportunities. And I think in this state in India, we're supposed to become the next big startup hub. So I think we should never stop looking at this opportunities. We never know how big they can be, right? This is from a startup's perspective. Now, my ideas of design slightly changed later during my whole journey, when I had the first interaction with a few investors who would not understand the importance of design. Who would say, build an MVP, which is our minimum viable product, and send it to customers. Now, all the experience and design-related factors that were involved in our product, we just can't bring that and expect the customers to have a good response. So these were a few areas where we sort of struggled to convince investors this could be the next big thing, this is that and that. Right? So that's one problem with design, that if you are totally about user experience and your product is about some differential of an experience, you have to be able to use it as a customer or as an investor before actually making a call. Right? That's why these processes of MVP are important. So sometimes then we went back to the board and said that what is important, and let's see how we can convince this person to get us to the next round. So we went back to the board and said that okay, these are the things that we can build right now and have this person experience what we are building. And a lot of features we had to sort of cut out. It was not the product that we wanted to make, but we had to do that. So as a designer, I think we have a bias that we have to build it to the best possible create the best experience which is there, what we imagined, but sometimes not practical. So you have to sort of be able to understand those things and be receptive to such feedback as well, and understand why a business would want this rather than this. Right, so the business aspects of a design would keep coming. So you should be able to you should be malleable enough to change those things and not get frustrated about going back to the design board and starting again. So yeah, these are a few learnings which I've had.
I think I'll take the cue from what Narendra said. Yeah, sorry. I'll go back to my college days, right? And I come from a background in architecture. So as a student of architecture, there used to be a lot of people fascinated with form making, right? And somehow I, as a student, I did like all those forms, but I was not convinced that, and there were a lot of our faculty members who would look at form and label that as being creative. I wasn't convinced that just artistic form making is to be labeled as creative. And I think from that point, after I graduated as an architect, and 15 years later, when I was in Hong Kong, I got an opportunity to do work in the area of creative thinking, right? So essentially the point I'm making is, if you don't believe in certain things, please keep that, that inquisitiveness within you alive, and probably at some place or some time, you might get the opportunity to define or see it through your viewpoint. So I think it was in Hong Kong when we looked at creative tools, I realized, sketching and visualization is not essentially creativity. It is the thinking bit that is to be regarded as creative. So, if you believe in something, stick on to it, hold on to it. It doesn't happen in life that, your moment gets changed the next bit. You have to wait longer. I think I waited for about 15 years to discover what was to be happening. The other point which it really changed my journey is an episode that I had with Professor Setter, Mia's, a great historian. When we started the MP project, I was very, very confident. I'm going to achieve this, do that. So Professor Setter looked at me and said, Mamta, will you be able to do all this? Because see, we do not have the kind of data Roman civilization has or Egyptian civilization have. I said, yes, I will do it. And after we finished the project, I met Professor Setter again. He said, Mamta, are you satisfied with your work? I said, I am, but somehow I feel I haven't done enough, right? So that was the point. Professor Setter says, yeah, welcome to the world. I think bring that humbleness with you when you begin any projects. A person who really works, at the end of his journey will feel, oh, I have not done enough. And when you feel that, it just means, yes, you're on the right path.
Great, thank you again. Very interesting. So, all right, I'll go to the last question of this session. We are running about 10-15 minutes late, but I hope everyone is enjoying the session, at least I am. So, I'll take the liberty of extending us by 10-15 minutes. So the last question is, given all the experiences, what is the next frontier in design practice, design research that you are particularly excited about, and connected to your own experiences? So Professor Debont, again, we'll start from you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for giving me 30 seconds to think about this. I think there's sustainability, of course, we've already embarked on quite a bit, but I think now a very important topic that I see is everything related to well-being. I see also during the pandemic, lots of young people also struggling with mental health, but also people of other ages as well. I think there's a lot of things that we do in Loughborough related to sports, a lot of elite sports, healthy lifestyle, healthy living, but also people being able to reflect on what they are doing and having moments of calm and so creating environments and moments for people where they can somehow work on their mental well-being. I think that is something very necessary to help people who have issues, but also for those who are maybe still okay, for them to kind of be more, let's say, productive, more kind, more calm, more sincere, possibly. I think that is the potentially the area where we should do more of, and I'm really interested to also spend more time on the topic of well-being.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so since this is something that I do a lot, or at least that's where I want to go, I'll try and sort of simplify my answer as best as I can. But let me sort of put out one single line and just hear me out or just think about it. I feel time has come for design to protect technology. So I'll give an example. And this was something, okay, I'll give another example, not the project that I did. Imagine Siri or Alexa that we have, right? Now, have you seen the movie Her, where, we had this very intelligent, computer. And we had Scarlett Johansson's voice, and her voice is so powerful. Now, imagine if your Siri or your Alexa spoke like Scarlett Johansson, right? And Apple has spent a lot of money and time trying to really make the voice sound very real and has the correct pronunciations and all of that. The point is, if I have a device that sounds like Scarlett Johansson or somebody intelligent, I'm going to automatically assume that level of intelligence within the device. So the interface coming to me is defining my expectation from that particular device, which means I'm going to talk to a device as if it's a person. I'm going to use slang. I'm going to use, 3, 4, 5 sentences, and I'll expect the device to remember my first sentence and hence understand the context, right? All of that are my natural expectations because she sounds like that. And when the technology fails, the AI and has not reached a level where they can really support this kind of expectation that I have. Then the brand fails, the product fails, the company fails. It's such a simple thing. Now imagine the same situation where Alexa sounds very robotic, like a robot. When it sounds like a robotic, you're going to talk to it as if it's a 3-year-old child. You're going to say very precise words, very slowly, very clarified in your mind in terms of what instructions to give. And then the product is going to work. This aspect of interface design, whether it is voice, whether it is UX, whether it's autonomous cars, whether it's the branding that we necessarily do, that is now the frontier where design has to start protecting what technology can achieve and give time to technology so that they can actually live up to the expectations that people have. Today, we don't know and we don't bother about how a car works or a phone works, right? Which means the interface has to know or train people how to treat the technology. So that's my 2 cents.
Great. Thank you.
I feel the newest or the hottest topic in the startup world these days is crypto and Web 3.2. Basically, the concept is decentralization, and solutions built around such things could have potential. So if you are into UI UX, see if you can probably have an opportunity there, build some projects there. Apart from that, I see this is somewhat related to again decentralization. Privacy is a big concern. Climate change is a big concern. So solutions built around such things, wherein as Professor also mentioned, sustainability is a big concern. I think solutions built around such things which take priority, when the requirements are more focused towards such things would be a bigger opportunity.
Professor Rao.
So that question was what again?
Yeah, so the question is, so what's the next frontier in design practice, design research that you would be excited about?
Right. I think somehow I think by Intel, I would say I'm more an academician than a practitioner. I'm beginning to wonder, we've done so much of individual studies on individual creativity. Going ahead, I think it's all about collaboration, right? I'm not really sure how well egoistic design is going to take form or shape. because it's about negotiating with your team and figuring out things together. That's going to take a big shift in the days to come. The next one is something to do with India, and I keep wondering that when we go out for our research studies, specifically user research, we find that many of our Indians are very, I don't know the correct word. So for example, once when I had to do a study on mobile phones, I was talking to some of our domestic helpers, right? And it was a questionnaire format that we were getting filled. And I realized after 10, 15 people, none of them gave me any negative aspects related to mobile phone. It was always positive. Later I realized when I spoke to them, behind, keeping the questionnaire aside, I realized, and I'll put that in Hindi. Many of you know Hindi here, yeah? So they said, दीदी आपको बुरा नहीं लगे इसलिए हमने कुछ खराब नहीं बोला मोबाइल फोन के बारे में सब कुछ जो अच्छा था वही दे दिया. So I have begun to wonder whether India and the culture that we have requires very specific different kinds of design research methods. I'm not really sure. I think we have potential to do something based on our cultural essence. And many more going on in my mind. But these two, for the time being, should be good enough.
Sure. No, thank you. We'll certainly look forward to more inputs as we go along. Great. So thank you again. What we'll do is we'll take a couple of questions. I was planning 10 minutes, but we can reduce it to 5 minutes. And then we'll meet our M.Des third batch. They're online. So, and they have been patient enough and kind enough to, wait all this while. So questions can also come in from the teams as well. So feel free to ask questions to the panel. Okay, Jashwant, please go ahead. Okay, we'll wait.
Good evening, I'm Jashwant from M.Des first year. My first question is to Professor Navtara ma'am. When you were speaking about your case study on Hampi, you have explained us how you have picked the instances of architectural elements and for visualization of colors, instances from models. But before all that, how did you decide upon when all that is a team that is left? How did you decide upon this platform or this location or this building is used for this function or this purpose? How, from which research or how did you analyze and how did you approach that?
Okay, so I think when we started the reconstruction process, we went through a lot of textual narratives, a lot of published data, right? And from the published data, we knew that there were a lot of description which said this is an audience hall. It's also called as 100-pillared hall, and we could see the marks of 100 pillars there. And there is description which says, look, the whole superstructure is gone because it was made out of wood, right? So we had that data, and hence that, and we knew palaces during Vijayanagara period or a little before or after, right? That's this, time period that we looked at. All palaces during that time. What was the kind of stylistic aspects related to palaces of that period? What was the material? And because this structure had a lot of wood, slowly then we began looking very closely, structures or columns made out of wood and what kind of language they had. A lot of this architectural language we could also see in the royal structures that are still remaining. So I think with the textual narratives, the structures of Vijayanagara period, we kind of put the conjectural visualization together. And I call it conjectural visualization because we have a methodology and we have taken certain instances. But if you change those instances, right, there is going to be a different kind of visualization. And I'm sure the youngsters that I can see here, if you are interested, I'm sure we could come up with another conjectural visualization. And although there was a lot of DST and this, I forget the department, ASI, right? ASI. They did talk. Can we put these structures physically? And I belong to that category of people. I do not think we should reconstruct physically. I believe all reconstruction should happen digitally. One of the reasons, because if you reconstruct with certain other instances, the onlooker can get 2 reconstructions of that period. So I'm not sure whether I've answered your question. I did? Okay.
And my next question is to person. So we used gestures on mobiles, laptops, tablets. So they're pretty simple, but you scaled it down to ring, and our fingers will do many unintended actions all of the day. So how did you approach to certain actions which doesn't overlap with those unintended actions so that the whole system is effective?
Sure. So although I didn't get a chance to explain the whole product and the whole aspects of features and the experience of the product can't be explained in a short time, but what we did was initially we thought that we'll have, so the display basically predicts shortcuts for you. You choose an option of 2 to 3 shortcuts which are there to you at any point of time based on your current location, calendar entries, and multiple data points. And you select one of those options by swiping left, down, right, up. Right, up and down are for selection and rejection, left and right were for choosing which option do we choose for. Right, so we actually came to this interface, the super simplified interface, after of course a lot of research and testing done with a lot of users and people around us, even in Cpdm. How we identified that this action, the gesture which we're making here, is intended or not intended. So there were 2 methods to do that. One of the concepts that we had, it was a mechanical joystick sort of a design, right, which would require some effort from you to actually do that, right, do that slide motion. Second was that these gestures, we use machine learning to design these gestures itself. So we figured that, okay, these, if we swipe up, let's say 100 times, these are the correct gestures. Down 100 times, these are correct gestures. Then, so that ambiguity sort of was solved through that. So we had a process inside it, and machine learning was used to identify which is not correct, which is correct. So.
Right, and in the interest of time, I might have to sort of, we are almost 7 past, and so I think we'll take one last question. You have to keep it brief, and the answers we'll expect short as well. Okay, now it's going to be a lottery. We'll have a sort of IT to.
My question is for Mr. Mementos. I want to know what are the challenges you face while dealing with the clients, like in the sense of if their background, they don't have any background in design. So how do you manage to communicate or convince them, or is your design freedom restricted sometimes?
It's a very important question. It's also coming back to my sort of often said thing about what is a designer's duty, right? So half of our life we are going to educate other people. So, right, so you have to assume that the person will not understand. So, I mean, I'll just give a small incident that happened in IISc just to showcase how different the point of view can be, right? So, I had this colleague or my classmate, she was an architect and she was doing industrial design with us in IDC. And she had this very funny observation from her mom. Her mom is saying, what is this? Earlier we were building houses, now we are doing door handles. So, so this aspect of what people expect and what design is always going to be a bit of a problem. So, which is not going to answer your question. How do you really, okay, I'll tell you one more aspect. See, imagine you're talking to a owner of a brand, right? Imagine Usha fans, right? So it's his baby. He has really spent his money, his multiple years creating that fan industry, and he's now very popular. So when you're designing a fan for him, he will have an opinion that, this is how it should be. It should be fat, it should be blue, it should be green, it could be anything, right?
And here you are a dominant creative think, yes sir, I can do it in yellow also if you want, right? So the point is that conversation becomes very transactional. I'm doing what you want, so I become a labor. So how do you get to his level so that he respects you? And the only way to do it is through research. And I'll tell you what, if you tell him that, fine, you might like it blue, but I have met your consumers, they like it in red. I have met this particular person, this is how he used it and this is what they do. And so when you're able to represent his customers back to him, that's when you're at the same level as him, and then he's going to listen to you. Right? So that is an important way to survive in design business.
Right, thank you. Anyone has any questions for Professor Debont? If there's one, I'll take there. All right, we can otherwise carry on the discussion in the high tea as well, right? Please, sorry, again, in the interest of time, because we haven't met the alumni yet. So I'll have one last opportunity, I'll steal it from you. I'll ask one question to Professor Debont, because you talked about internet and how it's changed design. And I understand your background interest is also in behavior. So how do you see the role of internet in understanding user behavior? Can we bring that to a study of user behavior, the leverage internet for that, as well as how is internet changing the behavior of the users with regards to design in general? If you can throw some light on that.
I think there's a lot of ways in which people are monitored, and data is collected in so many different ways. When every transaction you make, things you buy, things when you go on the internet, we leave so many traces. Actually, a lot more than we wish for. And unfortunately, some people make a lot of use of that, and of course now with AI, you can also find patterns and stuff like that. If we use that all well, I think it can be to the advantage of people. But at the individual level, you sometimes are all of a sudden confronted with, let's say, people trying to sell you things or want to make use of your time in ways that you're not really keen on. So I think, yes, there are lots and lots of possibilities through, let's say, all sorts of systems that every time we engage with the internet in whatever way this information is stored and traced. And if we make use of that properly, like I said, for health reasons or understanding people better and understanding what people want in positive ways, it's to really support them or provide more opportunities and possibilities for people to widen their repertoires. Which can sometimes be kind of creating new insights and new types of behaviors. That it could be good, but I see that this space is largely owned by commercial companies, and I'm not completely at ease how this information is being used right now. So that's actually what then calls for more protection for people. How can they protect themselves against being monitored and this information being stored, which is then actually more of like a negative battle and losing the positive potential that is also there.
Right. Thank you very much. So again, I'll thank all the panelists for their insights. Please stay with us. So now we'll meet our alumni, the third batch, and thereafter we'll go for the high tea. Yeah, you can sit here, please. Yeah, thank you again. So I'll try to go into the gallery mode, and hopefully. All right. So now it's time for the alumni, so please come on screen, all of you. And in the alphabetical order, I guess you can go ahead and introduce yourselves. So, and please, okay, let me try and, okay, just a moment. Let's see if I can. Gallery mode, I think together mode is better, right? Oh no, that's not the one. Sorry, oh yeah, that's the mode I wanted to be. Yeah. All right. So who would like to go first? All your call. So you guys know each other. You know the people here. So we have. All All right, we'll start with Aparna maybe. So there.
I would suggest the front benches must wake up.
You need to come closer to the mic, please.
Yeah, I was suggesting that let the front benches go first.
You are on the front bench.
You are on the front line, right, of course. Right, so please, so the idea here is that you introduce yourselves, tell us what you've been doing since you graduated. So let us know, and yeah.
I'll start with myself. I think time. So you have been probably watching us sitting together like two good students in the classroom. That's also because we are not only alumni from the same batch, we are also life partners. And thanks to Cpdm for not only giving me the career, but also my life partner. I'm Dhruv Jyoti. People call me DJ. I came from Northeast. I did my mechanical engineering from Northeastern Regional Institute of Science, Technology and Mechanicals. And of course, we finished in 2001. Post that, I worked for a short while with VIP luggage, and then a little bit with BPL Electronics. Post that, a long innings with the General Motors, where Mr. Bhate was one of my mentors. And then a short while with Onida and Mahindra. And currently I'm with Ashok Leyland for the last 8 years. At Ashok Leyland, we obviously take care of the trucks and buses that we design, and we have a small team of 10 people. The studio is very new, as in the design studio is just about 10 years old, and of all the portfolio products from Ashok Leyland. So that's pretty much about myself.
Great to see you again, DJ.
Thank you. Aparna, please.
Yeah, so introduction is already being made. Myself, Aparna, come from Lucknow, and electrical engineer before being a designer. Initial 4 years I worked as a product designer in IISc itself. Was designing in SI. After that, I switched to IT industries, UX design domain, and on and off, I've been working for maybe around 21 out of 21 years, some 12, 13 years industry experience. Rest of it is like life experiences. Currently not working. Later in this week, I'll be joining for a small company. So that's about me.
Great to see you again. All right, who goes next? You guys have to decide the order. Otherwise, I'm playing the. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. So good evening to all, and I'm very happy to see my classmates speaking, and thanks Cpdm for organizing for the session. My name is Mahesh Krishnan. I'm working with L&T Technology Services. I take care of the business for plant engineering in India. I take care of about 4 million budget this year, and before I did sales, I was doing delivery of projects, and before that I did implementation of building information modeling, and in the previous organization I was working as a pre-sales for Autodesk tools. So I think this experience is very unique because if I had not done M.Des with an architectural background, I don't think I could have delivered. It gives a very high level picture about how customers or client what they expect out of our service, and then. And I'm in the L&T Technology Services. It's an organization which is an ER&D organization. That means it's an engineering and R&D organization. So we work with different field. So I still continue to have that appetite to learn, like as if I was still in IISc, right? So that keeps me going, and it's very interesting to hear the panelists talk about have empathy. Don't stick to one idea, continue to allow yourselves for changes in your ideas. And that's something very interesting. And we talked about new technologies, and that's something very that's really a happening thing. We're talking about information being tracked everywhere, and things becoming very smart. And I think the question where somebody asked, what should we look forward in future? I think we should look forward to about how we really would like to make things simple, and then more secure, simple, and more open, that people don't close themselves because of these technologies. We still need our neighborhood. We still need people who know us, who people don't know us. So that's where I think we should look forward, make things simple, and then have a good life. I mean, that's how we should direct ourselves. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. So we go in the alphabetical order. So we go to Mukesh.
So good evening, everyone. Very nice to see everyone. It gives me a nostalgic feel as if I'm sitting in the classroom with all my classmates. I should see some of the professors. I think the local friends. I could see young friends. So it's very difficult to believe that 22 years have passed since we left the school. It still feels we are fresh from the college and learning new things every day. So I am from a town in Maharashtra called Solapur. I'm basically a mechanical engineer from Walchand Institute of Technology. After that, I joined IISc in 1999 and completed the course in 2001. Post that, I joined L&T Defense through campus interview, and I've been with L&T Defense since then. So I was part of the R&D team, new product development team for 17 years. For past 4 years, the role has widened, looking after the business, specific business sector. That's about it.
Great, thank you. All right, Surekha, your turn. You're muted.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for inviting us, and hearing to all the panelists. I felt I was back in college again in the institute. I'm an architect, and I think I spent all my study life in Bangalore, but now I'm settled in Hyderabad. Initially, I worked with design manufacturing firms into furniture design. Then I worked with Titan for their CSR projects for Bal Bhavan. So that is where I was able to put my architectural and my product design, what I learned from IISc, to use. There actually I was able to do whole part of it. But now the furnitures, I think all the paper equipments are not there in place. So, but then I got to work on the whole part of it. After that, I am back here, and me and my husband, we have a landscape architecture firm, which we have been running since almost 23 years. And I think design has, what I've learned in IISc, has always been a part of everyday life for me. There's no point, there's no place where I can say I didn't use the design. So in every part of it, when I'm working in the office or I'm dealing with anybody in the office or anything, design has always helped me in some way or the other. So design is a part of my life. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sukanto.
Good evening. After so many years, actually, after going out from I was doing a project it is related to service in the eastern part of India. Asian Paint did not have much stock.
Closer to the mic, and that will be easier.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. After completing my years, I was working in visual communication and searching. At the time, I was working on Asian related to a service design part. Got the idea of service design and how a macro level of thinking can be done and not only a product, but a whole system level design can be done by a designer. So then I joined IIT Roorkee PhD, and I did PhD on system consumption and service design. Actually, the case study was urban mobility. So from there I got the idea about service design, and then all the things. Then I joined a few years, for 2.5 years I worked in Bangalore, in the School of Foreign Studies. Then shifted to Bhopal. At the time in 2008, annual architecture Bhopal started by MHRT at that time. I joined in 2010, and initially I was teaching mostly the first year area, because at the first year level we need all those basic design level things. Many times they can help them. Anyway, so in 2018 July we started a course, this Master of Design in product design as well as visual communication, these two areas. So I teach both product design and service design. These two areas I used to cover. So this is what my journey is. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thanks for joining, and great to see you all. I hope that's just the first interaction after a long while, but hopefully you'll visit us and we'll see you guys in person sometime soon, right? So we're also planning the 25th event will be a mega event where we'll expect all the alumni to be here physically. So I'm just giving you a notice well in advance. Don't tell us that, we didn't notify well in advance, right? So looking forward to seeing you all. Thanks again for joining. Still, we have another 5 minutes before we wrap up. Of course, so we would like to sort of give mementos and certificates to our design ambassadors, people whom we have invited. So Professor Debon's certificate will send overseas, we'll post it, but at least for our special guests who are here, I'll ask Professor Dibakar Sen to please come and give the certificates and the mementos. So Professor Mamta Rao, if you could, yeah. That's the certificate. Mr. Narendra Ghate, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Apur Shankar. Yeah, so just a bit about the mementos and the certificates. So one of the things we decided we wanted to do in our 25th year is to celebrate design experts, both in industry and in research. And we would like to call them as Cpdm design ambassadors, right? So that's the idea, and over the next 25 events, I will be looking at 100 ambassadors, and all the talks that we have, we will try to collate them, and eventually would like to also compile a book which is based on what their opinions on and thoughts on design are. So we look forward to compiling a very interesting book coming out of these voices. So with that, I'll again ask Professor Dibakar Sen to come up and then close the event and invite us to join for the high tea. Yeah, thank you.
So before I close, let me thank all the panel members for their very interesting, insightful, and inspiring stories that you shared from diverse fields, starting from very high-tech design to very broad very reconstruction of lost the empire architecture, right? And so there is and all the students who have come and the students in this hall and who have joined online. Let me thank all of you. Actually,
this is your event, and you should take a more active role and interest in participating in it. And as ambassadors, you keep telling our stories to others. How it was your experience, and tell good things, and all that your advice you can have for us to share with us. And with this, I'll invite all the people present here to join the tea. And those who are online, you can also have your tea now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, and thank you everyone for joining. So we can close this session, and we'll share the YouTube things when we have updated that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.